What is going on? I'm your oh so glorious beloved Mace Valor, blah, 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 blah. So, just like the title says, I'm doing a lot of research, I'm doing a lot of looking at, and I like your guys' input. I do. And I take it to heart. So, let me kind of break down what's been going on. So, yesterday I was looking at some vehicles, right? Went to the impound lot, and wow, was that wow, is that something else, man. That was quite the experience. Needless to say, I'm not very pleased with the overall outcome of it. Yeah, it don't look very good. I was talking to the dealer dude, or it's hard to call it. It's not necessarily a dealer. He's just a salesman for the tow yard. And the thing that kind of pissed me off first is I waited so long. So there's multiple salesmen, right, that work for this impound lot, this tow company. And the one that I was recommended by, the one I saw the Craigslist ad for, Carlos, nice enough dude, but they were like already really busy, and Carlos was only taking one person at a time. So there's a bunch of us in there on a waiting list to go back and look at the cars available. But what really sucked is that he would only take one person at a time, whereas the other guys, they would take multiple people. And it's like, all right, well, whatever, man. So everything was crazy expensive. And when I say that, it's like the price for what you're getting. A lot of these cars that were in my budget were like complete utter trash. Like, and that's not just me being picky, like, oh, it's got some paint or it's dirty. Like, it looks like, where did you find this thing? Did you fish it out of a lake? Like, it was just like a lot of these things are like, we're talking lots of rust, like extremely balded tires. It was bad. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, dude, come on, man, really? Like, is this like really the best that you're trying to offer me? Because I've seen way better stuff for cheaper on Craigslist, on OfferUp, on Facebook Marketplace. You know, it's like, are you really thinking that this is the best bet? And he's like, hey, you know, it's tax time, so we know people got money. So if you want, come back, you know, probably May, you know, and if you're still looking, they're going to be a lot cheaper because, you know, people have spent all that tax money by then. Yeah, this is how it works. And I'm like, all right, whatever, man. So I ended up not getting anything from there. He didn't even show me all the available vehicles in that price range because, you know, it's just garbage. And then looking into looking into the auction, I keep up to date on like the bids and stuff, and you know, the online bids got to the point where they were all well over 2,000 for all of the vehicles on my short list. So all the vehicles were like crazy price, like they were like 2,200-2,300, plus you have to pay the buyer's premium, you know, and then not to mention all the other stuff on top of that. So it's like, it works for dealers because they have like, oh my God, really, dude? Are you just not gonna let me go? All right. Seriously, some people. So, you know, I took a step back, you know, I was like, whatever. So there was this guy on Craigslist, on OfferUp, I was talking to, and I recognized the posting because it was for a Dodge Caliber, 2007, and there wasn't a whole lot of information on it from the first person I spoke to on it. And we kind of went back and forth. You know, I was like, hey, does it have the smog in hand? I mean, what can you tell me about it? And they're like, oh, there's someone looking at it right now. And I'm like, okay, well, just let me know. I'm interested. And nothing. And then like a couple days later, there was a new posting, but I recognized the pictures of the same vehicle. So apparently the girl I was originally talking to was having issues trying to sell it. So I guess she had like her brother-in-law or something meet people instead. The problem is he doesn't know jack shit about the car. So the history about that Caliber is that the owner bought it at an auction. And I don't know if I'm calling bullshit, maybe it just didn't pass smog, but she said, or he told me that like, well, she bought it at an auction, she couldn't register it because she was waiting for the title. It took like a month for the title to come in, and then by the time that came in, she had already purchased a different vehicle. So they're just trying to get rid of this one. And it's like, you don't need a title to register a vehicle. You have the bill of sale. You don't need to wait for the new title to come in. That's not how it works. Once you have the bill of sale, once you have the title from the previous owner and you switch it over to get the new one, you've proven that you own the vehicle and they'll register it for you. So all you need is smog and the VIN check. And of course, proof of insurance. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, you don't need the title to register a vehicle. Like, if that were the case, then people that go to dealerships and finance their cars would never have them registered. That's just the way it works. So that was kind of a red flag that told me, all right, this probably isn't going to pass smog. And I looked at it, and for its age and for its miles, it was pretty banged up, but I wasn't going to ask $2,000. It definitely needed new tires. And this isn't just me saying, oh, it's going to need new tires. I'll lowball him, but then I'll change the tires in like 6 months. No, this was a situation where the tires were so bad that as soon as like I got that thing legal to drive on the road, I would have to immediately go get new tires on it. So there's already like $450, $500 right there. And for the condition and stuff, it was a little banged up. It was funny because he pulled up, parked the car, turned it off. We were talking, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, it was sitting for a while. I just changed out the battery. And I go in and I sit in the driver's seat and I turn it on. Nothing. Doesn't even turn over. And he's like, you've got to be kidding me. And I was like, you just changed the battery, right? And he's like, yeah, give me a second. So I popped open the trunk. I got one of the tools and he was like, oh my God. And I tightened the damn, the cable that goes onto the solenoid or whatever the word is on the battery. Because it was a negative terminal that was just hanging off for whatever reason. So I connected that back on real quick and it fired up. And I was like, all right, so you obviously when you change the battery, just put them on and like tighten them. It's whatever. It still made it over here, which tells me that the car was running off the alternator, which means that the alternator is okay. That's good news. But I'm looking at the battery. The battery doesn't even have a mount strap. It's just kind of like literally just sitting in the car. It's just wiggling around and stuff. It's not secured to a platform. It's not like anchored down. It's just all loosey-goosey. That needs to be addressed. There's no donut in the back. You can live with or without that, provided that, I have triple, so I'd be fine. But, that's something that would probably have to be addressed. And then I was like, oh, look at all the tires. The tires are pretty bad. Looks like they haven't been changed out in a very long time. The tires are going to have to be changed, which also tells me that the rotors are probably bad because of how long this thing's probably been driving on tires this poor. So, no, I can't. Oh my God, this dude is on my ass. Like, fuck, dude. Really? Fucking asshole. It's like, oh, I drive a Ford F-150. I'm gonna ride your... Like, why do people ride other people's asses? I can't stand it, dude. It's like, really? It's like, we're all like in this together. Why can't we just go? It's like, no, I have to be, I'm in a hurry. Look at me. It's like, fuck, dude. Anyway. So, I told him, like, look, man, I am interested. I would love to give you an offer for what I think it's worth, but I can't because you don't have the smog. It's like, I can't drive it unless it's smogged. I can't register it unless it's smogged, He's like, oh, yeah, the check engine light's on. It won't pass smog because it's been sitting for a while. You got to drive it on the freeway for a while. It's like, you're right. But the problem is I cannot drive it without it being registered, okay? I can go get a moving permit for it to get it from A to B, but then I'm risking whether or not it'll actually pass smog. It's not going to work. And I was like, a few days go on and, if you guys get smog, I am still interested. Hey, you know what? We'll reconvene then. But as of right now, I'm taking a huge risk because if something's wrong, like let's say it's a catalytic converter that needs to be changed out, that's like $1,000 for the part plus labor costs. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I love having this sense of community. But yeah, so when I look at cars, like, I try to be fair. Because I've sold cars before. I don't want people lowball on me. But as a buyer, I still want to get the best deal without screwing someone over. So I do have to kind of be objective when I look at it. I got to look at like, well, what are the things that are wrong with it? What are the things that need to be addressed immediately? That's how I look at it. When I ding someone on the price, fair market price, when I bring them down from it, it's because there's an issue with the vehicle that definitely needs to be addressed so it can drive, so it can run properly, So these are all things that I factor in. So people have been talking about Corollas, Altimas, Chevy Cobalts. Like y'all have been hitting me up with different vehicles that I could look at instead of a Dodge Caliber, that fucking Frankenstein wannabe crossover, whatever. Right? And especially after sitting in one and feeling how cheap and plastic it felt. If I put my kids in that car, I'm not going to feel safe. I'm looking for essentially something just, for the time being, not looking for something that's going to last 10, 20 years or anything like that. But at the same time, though, I want something that's overall, it's decent for what it is. So I have been looking at Altimas and stuff like that. And those are cars that are definitely within my price range. So here's where we hit the problem. So I make some phone calls, right? So one of the other things is, and you got to remember, last year I became debt free. I want to stay that way. I really, really do. So the only way for me to stay completely debt free is to, the only way to do that is to project everything forward. So when I look at different vehicles, when something catches my eye, when something might be, a prospective vehicle that I would like to purchase, I also call up all the insurance companies and I get quotes for multiple different insurance companies for multiple different cars. So far, the ones that have been in the lead, in the running, are Progressive and Geico. So between the two, Progressive is more. So here's the deal with Geico. Or here's the deal overall. Out of all the cars that I looked at, as far as insurance prices go, and this shocked me, I was like, my jaw dropped, because the lowest that I got it was $211 a month. Geico. That was, I believe, for an Altima. No, that was for a Hyundai Elantra. That was for a Hyundai Sonata. It was for a Hyundai. And I was like, okay, yeah, that's cool. I'll probably look into this vehicle. I'm supposed to meet that guy later today. I want to check it out. So that is a vehicle that I'm interested in. It kind of checks all the boxes. But then one of the things I saw is, because I saw a couple vehicles pop up, like probably about 3 or 4 vehicles pop up in the last couple days, up to the last week, and it's for a category I haven't even bothered searching. And that was for an Audi A4. I think the years on these range from 2003 to 2005. Now, the reason why I bring this up and the reason why I want to have a dialogue with you guys, I've never driven an Audi before, okay? All I know is that Audi is one of those brands that's considered a luxury, at least from my standpoint. I know Mercedes more so, same with BMW, but I would say Audi is definitely hitting that benchmark as well. So the issue that I have with purchasing an Audi is cost, because I think, well, it's a luxury vehicle, it's going to cost more to insure, blah, 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 blah. So I did some research, I made some phone calls, I got some quotes. Turns out, now the Audi you have to use premium gas for, which does have a markup as opposed to unleaded. I think it's roughly 25% of an increase. So right now gas is at $2.68 regular unleaded, but then if you get premium, it's $3.08. Right now that's actually good, because it used to be like $3.15, $3.20 just for unleaded. So gas prices, they're actually not that bad. If I were to get an Audi and have to use a premium fuel for it, it would work out. It would be fine. Because I'm so used to paying a lot more for gas anyway. So aside from that, I did some research. I made some phone calls with the insurance companies. Geico quoted me $175, $174 and some change for an Audi A4. That is leagues cheaper. It is the cheapest vehicle to insure. So that tells me Now, a lot of these things, the reason why like the numbers change, because I looked at a Nissan Maxima, I looked at an Altima, I looked at a Nissan Sentra. I was looking at a line of affordable Nissan sedans as well. And what I gathered from that is that different models, have different safety features, that they have different accident reportings, and there's this huge bubble of an algorithm that they kind of source all this information from to make a judgment call on how much the premiums are going to be. Dude. Yeah, fuck this bitch, dude. It's fucking riding my goddamn ass. Anyway, man, so stupid. I can't. That's why I wanted to talk to you guys. So the thing is, for a vehicle like that, the insurance might be cheaper, which on paying on it monthly, yeah, it makes sense. But then, what if something happens to it? How expensive is it going to be to fix? Well, you got to remember, here's the thing. I kind of go back and forth on this. I have to analyze everything. So one of the things that I noticed was, is this even taking me the right way? Hold on. All right, hold on. Because I'm looking at the GPS and this is not taking me anywhere near where I thought I was supposed to go. So I need to figure out what's going on with that. Give me 1 second. Yes, it turns out I am good. I guess it took me some sort of weird back way. So check this out. This is something that I have to break down for myself. I have to analyze, right? So with every vehicle that I've bought over the years, if the repair and maintenance costs go up to the, well, especially the repair costs, if something happens to the vehicle where it needs a repair in order to function, if that cost is like, let's say over $1,000, especially for a car that I only paid between $1,000 and $2,000 for, if the cost to repair the car is more than it's worth, I just shit can it. That's kind of how my thing goes. If I have to pay $1,500 to repair a vehicle, I might as well just sell that vehicle and get a different one. This is what I did with the Ranger. It's what I did with the Accord. That's what I did with everything. Every vehicle that I own, it's kind of something that everyone does, But I did want to pick your guys' brain noggins on it. There are a couple of Audis I'm going to go test drive today. Some of them with surprisingly low miles, which tells me that there might be something wrong with it. But then when I Kelley Blue Booked a 2004 Audi A4, I was kind of shocked that these people weren't actually lowballing themselves. These people, it gives me some remnants of hope that, wait a minute, maybe these vehicles are actually decent for their age. I mean, there's one that's got 120,000 miles on it. It's like, and he's selling it for 2,500, which is right in the middle on the Kelley Blue Book. And I'm thinking to myself, like, why would it be rated that way? And in my head, I'm thinking it's an Audi, right? It's supposed to retain its value. I was talking to the fake wife, and she's when she was younger, her family owned luxury cars like Jaguars, high-end Cadillacs, stuff like that. They have a lot of plastic in the engine. Well, don't really like that. But then most cars have a lot of plastic somewhere in the engine. I know a lot of American-made cars, they do, especially the older ones, they do prefer good old steel. I know that Durango, the inside of that bad boy, man, there was metal everywhere. Oh my God. The Ford, man, the Ford was just plastic fucking everywhere, man. Like, here's what pissed me off about having that Ford, the Ranger. I love the Ranger. It was a good work truck, but when you break down the mechanics of it, the OEM thermostat housing is garbage. I mean, you have this plastic thermostat housing that's sitting right next to the fucking, like, it's tucked in with the engine, obviously. and it's like there's no shielding or anything around it. So obviously there's going to be a lot of temperature difference from the outside of the plastic versus the inside, and it's those things crack like all the fucking time. That's one thing that I learned. The OEM parts that come from the Ford Ranger, especially for the thermostat housing, they're kind of shit because of the grade of plastic that they're actually made out of. It's relatively brittle. It's relatively sensitive to temperature change. And you would think for a thermostat housing that deals with vast temperature differences on a constant, like, blah, 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 you would think that that would kind of, be addressed. Like you would use a better material in that sense. But the Durango, man, no, I'm looking at cars today, but I've got time before I'm supposed to meet up. Got a couple minutes, so I'm gonna take a couple minutes, sit down, and chit chat with you guys. Yeah, so like I said, it's just one thing I'm thinking of. I'm kind of prospecting out and looking at what my costs are going to be. If this car can last me a year, I'll be happy. So the one right now is it's a Nissan Altima 04. So that's what I'm looking at. It's got 188, I think, thousand miles. The guy has smog in hand. He is asking quite a bit for it, so I'll take it for a quick spin. I'll see what's going on with it. Yeah, all right. It just booted me off my own stream. Hopefully, you guys are still here. Yeah. So here's the thing. No matter what vehicle I choose, there's not gonna be a consensus from you guys, and I understand that. Everyone's got something to say about every vehicle, especially when it's like a mid 2000s. So no matter what, I do take your guys' advice to heart, though. Honestly, I really do. That's why I talk to you guys about this stuff, because I know a little tiny bit about cars. I know more than the average person that just goes out and it's like, well, the paint looks good, let's take it. I know to look at it, I know there are certain things you want to look out for. I'm aware of this, but at the same time, no, I don't know one brand over another. I've had a bad history with Fords. That's kind of why I'm staying away from them. You have any idea how much that costs? Oh my God. There's no way I could afford that. And here's the thing, my credit is at a point where if I wanted, I could go to a dealership and get a car financed. Wouldn't get the best rate. I would have to put, probably $1,500 to $2,000 down. But, when I think about it, it's like, it's good. No, my credit's bad. I think it's at 524, 526, right in there. It's kind of been stagnant since I paid off all that debt, and it hasn't really been able to go up. I am looking to get a secured card. That's part of the reason why I want to kind of have some money left over after buying whatever vehicle I get, because I want to have money left over to kind of reinvest in myself. I want to get a secured card, basically use that to pay for insurance and gas. So the thing is, I'm going to go for a secure card because you're extremely highly likely to get a secure card because you're required to put money up front. So basically the way a secured card works is you put 200, 300, however much down, you put that down on the card. Sometimes there's like a yearly fee of like $50 or whatever. They mail you a card. So when you use that card, it runs everything as credit. It goes through your credit checks and all that stuff as a credit card, but it pays itself off instantly because you put your deposit in and then you pay for whatever, and then it does its little thing. It runs as credit. It attaches a credit history with that purchase or that transaction, but then it's immediately paid off because it siphons through the depositing account. And then essentially once that's paid off, if you want to add more on it, you can. But they do have yearly fees. Some of them go so far as to have APR percentages, which kind of stay away from those. But a lot of the people with bad credit, they can only get ones that have APRs plus non-refundable fees once a year. But there's still some more research I got to do on that. I got to call my loan advisor and see what her personal opinion for a best bet would be. Yeah, I got like a couple more minutes before I got to run. So, but yeah, so I've been to a dealership. I got a car from a dealership twice in my life. Once when I was 19. Or was I 18 yet? No, I was still I was 9. I just turned 19, so it was like in March, April. That was about April, I think, of 2009. That's when I got the Hyundai Elantra. It was in 08. That's a story in and of itself. Then there was the Dodge Avenger, man. And that was like the eye-opening experience for me. It's like I was paying $600 a month in the car, $450 a month in the insurance, and I didn't realize just how fucked I was, man. I just kind of went out the gate on it. $1,000 a month to drive a fucking vehicle. How stupid are you, Mace? But I was a lot younger back then. I just got out of the military. I needed a vehicle, and I was kind of pressured. I pressured myself into it, And I knew what I was looking for at the time. At the time, I was looking for a Kia Soul. That's what I wanted, I was looking to get a used Kia Soul, maybe one with like 50,000 miles on it. And I would have been comfortable financing something like that. But, I got convinced by the dealership. And that's kind of why I just stay away from that. Like, I've still gone to dealerships just to kind of do research and crunch numbers. I'm the kind of guy where it's like, I need to have the numbers in front of me. I need to kind of like being able to visualize it helps me a lot. And I don't mind, wasting a little bit of time going and seeing what's out there and reassuring myself that, yeah, just buy it outright, Mace. You're good. I'd rather have my monthly cost just be gas and insurance, and the occasional oil change, tire rotation, this, that, and the other, as opposed to, I don't have enough money for one of those. So all the Priuses that are available in my price range, or like the hybrids, they're crazy expensive. Or no, the ones that are in my price range, the batteries don't work, or they have one deficiency or another. If I wanted to get a functioning Prius, I would need like at least another $2,000. Because they're hybrids, they do kind of retain their value, or something like that. I would say maybe about $4,000. There are some listings out in Vegas I've seen where people selling them, pretty high miles, but they, they have their maintenance records up to date, and so anyway, so I gotta go meet this dude. We're supposed to meet at 10, so we'll check this out, hit him up a little bit, and then once I'm done, I'll come back and we'll hang out. As always, I'm your also glorious and loving Mace Valor. Let's pause this conversation now, and we'll get to talking a little bit later. As always, Mace Valor signing off.